Well, hello, this is Peter Combs from Bidamount.com and P.O. Combs Asian Art in Gloucester, Massachusetts. And today is Monday, October 26, 2020. And as promised, we're going to give you the preview for the Rob Michaels sale coming up in just a few days on October 31st and November 1st. It's a two-day sale, about 1,000 lots. They sell half the first day, half the second. It's quite a sale, and as many of you know, if you use the global member auction pages, it's been on there now for about a month. We had lots of images posted. We scrimmed up most of the auction is on there, and you can you can take a look there. Many of you have and have gone over to see Rob's listings and what he's got to offer this time around. It's quite an auction. He's done a really great job with it, and we're going to get right into it and go over some of the details and let you know what's on there. So let's get started. And this is Rob's page. This is his own website. It's rm-auctions.com. They're over in Belgium, and they have all the particulars on the homepage. If you've never used his site, these are also available on Live Auctioneers and Invaluable, as you all know. But he has his own site where you can place bids and communicate with them and so forth. It's very easy to do. They have a nice prominent contact us button. They have some good basic information on here, you know, how to buy, what's been going on, all that sort of thing. And they are very responsive. This, as it says over here, the sale is on November 31st and November 1st right here. And the times of the day, it starts at 10 in the morning both days and resumes after lunch, a nice civilized way to do it, at 2 p.m. in the afternoon. And the site is handy for a number of reasons. One of the features they offer is this. They have buttons that go to everything by category, so you can quickly look through that and go to the area that's of most interest to you right away. I do recommend, though, you go through the whole sale because there's a lot of great material in here. The front end of the sale has a really interesting segment to it. I'm interested to see how it all does. Chinese porcelain spoons. It's a highly specialized market. They made a lot of spoons, and all of you have seen them in one form or another, but the variety of spoons that they made rarely are ever all put together in one place, so you can really go through them and see them. Some of them are extraordinarily well decorated. They were done, as you can see, in monochromes, Famille Rose, underglaze blue. They did them in femi noir. Every palette available. And one pair in particular caught my eye. It's this lot right here, lot number 69. It's a pair of Ben Krong spoons for the Thai market. And you've all seen these. We talked about a Ben Krong bowl that was sold last week for about $1,000. Here are 3 spoons done for that market. This is a really unusual set. Very rare, and they look to be in very nice condition. They're probably mid-late 19th century or something like that, but very fine enameling. If you want to eat in style, get yourself a set of these, but absolutely wonderful. And they're estimated at 1,000 to 2,000 euros. They were bought sometime, acquired between 1970 and 2000. I don't know where they were acquired, but they're very interesting. They have good photography. Rob always does good photography, front and back, top and bottom, and all that. And you can get more photographs if you need them. He did include a nice picture of the backs of them, so you can see them, and you can zoom in and out on his images quite easily. It's very well done, and we'll see how they do. And then there's a whole lot of other spoons. There's pages of them up front in the sale, and it's worth going through. It's interesting. It's interesting stuff, and there aren't a lot of books written about Chinese spoons. It's a very narrow market, so you want to check it out. All right, and the other thing I wanted to mention too is that the sale is loaded with blue and white pieces. We're going to hop over to them in a minute after we get through. We'll look at some of the premium lots here and do a few, and then we'll get over and sort of browse through. If you're a blue and white collector in particular, this is Mecca. All right, there is, because a lot of you know, there's a huge amount of blue and white porcelain from the Ming dynasty through the late Qing and the Republic period that was exported into the Netherlands, Belgium, and that part of the world, and Northern Europe in general. And Rob always manages to pull together some very stellar examples in that category specifically, as well as export porcelain. So you want to check it out. All right, one of the big lots in the sale is this. It bears a big estimate, but these are pretty rare. It's a Wanli period set of nest of 4 stacking boxes with a 20 to 40,000 euro estimate. Don't worry, there's lots of other stuff for under 1,000 too, under 1,000 euros. But this is an interesting thing. It's a beautiful stacking box, 4 sections. It looks like 5, but the top section, this section here isn't really a section at all. It's the cover to the top section. So each section forms the cover to the one below it, and then they add a cover at the top, in case you're counting and wondering why it looks like there's 5. But at any rate, this is the carving on this, very typical late Ming carving, nicely done, neat, strong, and good color, and it looks to be in quite good condition. As always, with any lot you're thinking of spending money on, especially 20 to 30,000 euros, get a condition report, and these people are very straightforward on those. Okay, a 4-tiered box, for example, sold in 2011 at Sotheby's for about £73,000. So it gives you some idea of the prices some of these boxes can reach. I didn't go and look at it. You can do that yourself at Sotheby's, but it's all in there, and this is a nice looking example. And then over to this. This is a really interesting pair. If you're a buyer of 19th century high quality Famille Rose vases, we're all familiar with the Wu Shuang Pu vases. Those are the stories, the plates and dishes that have the individual figures tell a very old tale. There's a long story behind them, and they put their names on the porcelain identifying each of the characters. And I looked at this initially, I said, I've never seen this before, done in this style. And here are the figures. I've seen other vases with figures identified, but not Wu Shuang Pu. And here they are. You have them on this side, and then if you flip the pictures around, there's more of them here. The characters are identified in their various scenes of the battle and so forth. And there's very interesting use of black on this. Overglazed black enameling, and you notice that the shading and the decoration of the rocks and the fine detail of the trees on this vase are particularly good. My feeling is that these vases are probably late Qiqi to Daquan period. These are older ones. These are not the late 19th century, just because the enameling looks so good to me, and the way the handles are done. You see the same kind of handle on Qianlong and early Qiqi vases. But these are really very, very nice. And let's see if they have a good picture of the bottom. There's the top, the mouths with the turquoise enamel interior. And there's the bottom. Yeah, I don't think these are late. These aren't late 19th century, judging by that. These look like they're pre-1850, certainly. Probably early Daquan period, I think. Very, very nice. And they have an estimate of 15 to 20,000 euros, 25,000 euros, but they're big. These the vases without their stands are 86 centimeters tall. So they're just a hair under 36 inches, probably 34, 35 inches tall, which puts them in that class of porcelain that we talked about before. When you get into vases that are over 24 inches, 25 inches, 26 inches, the prices, the value of them leaps exponentially. And then when you break 30 inches, there's another whole upper category, because they didn't make many this big. These are big. These are nice, big, powerful vases. And I don't think the estimate is crazy given the subject matter, the quality of decoration, and their age. Very attractive. And then over here you have something with a little less expensive estimate on it, is a pair of pre-1850 rose Canton enamel or rose mandarin vases, estimated at 15 to 2,500 euros. But nice example. They have that classic sort of Greek key, iron red and gilt framing around them that you see on export porcelains and so forth of the period. Good quality decoration all the way up. Fully decorated foo lions, pairings of foo lions on the neck, as you've all seen before. And then these relief work chameras paired up on the front and a ruffle rim. All of it add up to a nice quality vase. 15 to 2,500 euros does not seem out of line for this at all. And then over here onto the transitional vases. This is a number of transitional wares in here. We're going to look at a couple of them. But this is a very nice jar. It's about 13 inches tall, transitional period, wuchai and underglaze blue. The underglaze blue on it is nicely done. The potting of the vase is very nice. If you look at it carefully, the shaping of it is quite good. The body is swells out nicely, goes in, wastes at the bottom. It has a nice waist at the bottom, and then swells out like it's filled with air, and then slopes in and then flares out again at the mouth. The lid is later, obviously, they always are, but a handsome pot and very, very detailed overglaze red repeat pattern all through here, and not a lot of wear to it. Often the iron red on the bodies of these gets worn to pieces all over the place. There's only a couple of minor areas of wear over here and here. This side overall looks good. That side looks good. Here's another side. There's just minor bits of wear on one side, which is unusual for these. Usually they have lots of wear. And estimated, I think just fine, 15 to 2,500 euros. I don't think that's a bad price at all for those. And then here, the swatto, the Buddhist Ming, the Buddhist lion plate. This is among the swatto wares. This particular color palette and quite detailed is a sort of the top of the line as far as swatto goes. And this beautifully done seated Fu lion, a nice detail, that beautiful aqua blue that they used with black highlighting, and then the outer edge of it, repeat patterns, cross-hatching, cartouches, and all this. Very, very, very classic swatto late Ming example. This is not a huge one. This isn't a big, 18-inch charge. This is about a 12-inch example. But the condition is excellent. Those of you that buy swatto and buy late Ming pieces, you always know that the interiors of these, the center of these swatto pieces tended to get very worn because they were used all the time. People use them every day. And this one is in very nice condition. And the estimate on it is just 8 to 1,200 euros. I think that's a very, very good, very reasonable estimate. And the back of it isn't too bad. A lot of these swatto plates, as you know, can be just gunked up to death all through the middle with all kinds of stuff. This one, they did a fairly tidy job with it. The foot has some bits of kiln grit to it, but if you've seen a lot of swatto, you know this is practically pristine. And then you have these glaze splotches which occur on all of them in minor pinholes around the back. And you can see how the glaze ran when they dipped it, the white glaze over the outside. All those little characteristics, I love that. And there the estimate is 8 to 1,200 euros. And then over here to this big Kangxi Yen Yen vase. Nice example. One of the things I noticed about this vase in particular was the quality of the decoration. The outlining is extremely precise, and the infilling is extremely precise. Often when they did Kangxi pieces, they outlined them, and then when the colorists went in to fill in, because remember, this is all pre-firing, so the cobalt, before they fire it, the cobalt blue they decorate with doesn't look anything like this. It looks like black muck. It does. You don't get the blue out of it until it's heated and fired and goes through its chemical process. But here you can see how careful, how skilled the decorator is. Everything is neatly done within the lines. Very, very nice shading all through the cobalt, and very detailed upper section here with these plum blossoms up towards the rim, which looks pretty good to me. So you want to check that out. The estimate is 4,000 to 8,000 euros, which is within the range. The vase measures about 16 inches tall. Nice looking example. And then pop over to this. You remember last week we had a fishbowl, a Kangxi fishbowl that had the same exact pattern. It was at about a 7 or 8 inch bowl, and it ended up bringing $7,000 or $8,000. Here you have a plate that's about that big. The same pattern, that same popular fish pattern. Very nicely done. The carper, well done. I love the crab in the middle. And then you have little bits of shells and aquatic plants floating around the outside, and a couple of sharks and so forth. Just handsome. And 8 to 1,200 euro estimate. There you go. 27 centimeters in diameter. I don't think this will bring as much money as the bowl will, because they've made more of the plates, more of the dishes. But it's about an 8-inch example itself, and is absolutely very, very nice. Very good example, and I think the estimate is more than reasonable. All right, and the other thing I wanted to mention was there are a lot of blue and white examples in the sale, and you want to pop over to them and take a look. We'll just take a look right here. There we go. And if you go to the blue and white section and click on it, you'll get an idea how much blue and white porcelain is in the sale. The spoons, of course. And then there are 11 pages of Chinese blue and white ware. Some of it is blue and white, underglaze blue with underglaze red combining with it. But these are just some of the examples of how much blue and white is in this auction. You see some of you see some familiar. There's a Hongwu plate over here, Ming teapot, nice looking kendi. There's another kendi, a very attractive Wanli charger with a very unusual phoenix decoration in the center, like this. This is quite an unusual Wanli plate. If you're a Wanli buyer, you know right away what I'm talking about. This is not the typical Wanli charger interior, and the outside of it is superbly well done. This is one heck of a nice piece of Wanli. You want to look into that, and it is a big one too. This one is about 18 inches in diameter. 19 inches in diameter with a 5 to 10,000 euro estimate, but it's big and it has a very rare pattern. This pattern is very, very rare. And that's the thing you want to look out for with Rob Sales, because you never know. And then you go on. As I said, there are 10 pages, 11 pages of blue and white. There's Qiqi wares. There's Chinese export scenes here. The famous musician's plate, Kangxi period. There's some good late Wanli. You name it. Tureens, vases. You can see it. Here's a lot with 3 pieces in it. And it just goes on and on and on and on and on. Heavy, heavy, heavy blue and white presence in this sale. But all of them are good examples. So don't let that scare you off. And it'll be interesting to see how it all does. But these are some good pieces. So if you like blue and white and you like late Ming to mid-Qing blue and white, this is a sale you really want to check out. And then on to this very handsome 1680s Japanese Arita guglet with the relief banding around the mouth for tying down covers. It is 50 centimeters tall. This is a pretty big pot. It's about 18 inches in diameter, 17 inches in height, rather. Beautifully decorated piece of Arita. This is the kind that you see. The Ashmoleum has some of these. Highly desirable model, as they would say in the old days in the trade. Nice condition all the way through. And the estimate for what it is quite reasonable: 2,500 to 5,000 euros. So if you could buy this anywhere within that range, you're in good shape. If you're an Arita collector, Arita porcelain and Kakeyamon porcelain and authentic Nabeshima pieces, but be careful with Nabeshima because they made an awful lot of copies to look like the early ones that aren't. So you want to buy it from a good source. But Japanese porcelain in general is one of the great values in the art market today is in Asia for the quality and what it costs, especially relative to the price of Chinese things. This is a great example, a nice big pot. So if you're a Japanese buyer, check this out. And if you're a Republic period buyer, take a look at this thing. I love this. This slab constructed, it's sort of an 18th century form, but it's Republic period, and it's done to be like, it's glazed to be like a faux bronze with the turquoise patination added in the glaze. Look at this. And then they put gold specks in the glaze and up and up and up with these beautiful elephant head handles. And this thing is big. It's I think, I got to check the height, but I think it's like 23 or 4 inches tall, but an absolutely great example. Absolutely stupendous looking. And then has the roux head bottom molded into it. And it is, 63 centimeters. Okay, it's over 24 inches tall. This is a very big vase with a very modest estimate for a fine Republic piece, 1,500 to 2,500 euros. So if you're a Republic buyer, save your pennies for that. That's a good pot. And then over here is this nice Chinese export for the Japanese market, Qianlong ware dish, beautifully done with this nice Ling Bai sprout coming out of it with little insects floating around. And it's got it sits up on this little 3-foot bottom. There it is, these little three little, and they facet them down to these little points. So they look nice. And it's estimated just 600 to 1,200 euros for a good early type. It's about 8.5, 9 inches in diameter. It's about 8.5 inches, 9 inches in diameter. But it's molded and shaped, and these were so popular in Japan, especially in the. They began bringing them over in the 1680s and 90s, but very handsome. And then over to this. This is a nice plate. This is a Qianlong Marken period, yellow enamel with underglazed blue dragon dish. It's not a huge thing. It's about 7 or 8 inches in diameter, but a highly desirable type. And these can bring a lot of money. We'll see how it does, but typically these bring $30,000 to $60,000 at the big auction houses when they come up. And this looks to be quite like a fine example. The decoration of the yellow is very well controlled. You notice how they use blue and then they fill it in with the yellow enameling, but the control is very good because sometimes on these the control wasn't that good and they sort of painted outside the lines. They missed here and there. This is a good, clean example. And the upper dragon is very elongated. I love how he's stretched. It's like the potter grabbed him by the tail, grabbed him by the head, and stretched him and stuck him on the rim. And here he is coming around with his claw outstretched for the flaming pearl, and then another on the bottom coming around to grab the other. Just a great example. And here's a picture of the back of it. Nice looking back, nice looking foot rim, very neat and tidy all the way around. Very good. And we'll see how that goes. It's estimated at 20 to 40,000 euros. But looks like a nice example to me. Of course, you got to check it in person or have somebody you know check it, spend that kind of money. But it's worth looking into. And then if you're a bronze buyer for Tibetan and Nepalese bronzes and things like this, this is something you want to pay attention to. If you're interested in the culture and the art and the religion especially, this is a really rare thing. This is a bronze stupa, as you know, but the yahtzee on the top is made out of cut rock crystal. Makes it very unusual. That's a highly unusual stupa. These are not big. This is like, I think, about 5 inches tall or something. But a nice old bronze, lots of legitimate wear on it. But that rock crystal stupa on the top is just fantastic. Yeah, it's 10 centimeters tall, so it's 4 inches tall. These are not big, but this is a rare thing. And if you're into Buddhist art and so forth, this is something you don't see very often. You really ought to check it out. And it's got a 1,000 to 2,000 euro estimate, but I don't think that's unreasonable. I think it's quite old. They date it as 18th century. It may be even a little bit older than that, but a beautiful example. It could be late Ming. All right, and then on to this. These are nifty. These are a pair of cafe ground, late 19th century, but they're cafe ground with crackle in them, and the two figures, what's his name, Li Chu Gai, is done in relief. It's molded into the piece, as is the tree. All of this is molded relief work and then enameled, which make these interesting. If they were just on the vases, they're still nice, but not that nice. But these are interesting because they use molded bodies. You can see the shadow from the molding up here. And then they have these very nice naturalistic root type handles with brown dressing on them. And these very delicately drawn birds. This one is slightly different than this one. It's sort of interesting. And then a brown dressing on the rim. And then you have the slight white area where the cafe glaze pulls back on the top. And then the backs of these are handsome. I love this, the birds. They have two different birds on here. One of them is on a looks like it's on a persimmon tree or peach tree or fruit tree of some kind. And here are two others, a pairing of birds on the plum blossoms and the nice chrysanthemums at the bottom and so forth. And these are nice. They're 44 centimeters tall, so they're just about 18 inches with a 1,000 to 2,000 euro estimate. All right, that's perfectly reasonable. And on to the bronzes. There's quite a few bronzes in the sale, quite a few Tibetan bronzes, as a matter of fact. And there's the stupa and all that. But this is an absolutely great bronze. And if you're a Ming bronze buyer, scratch your head and ask yourself, excuse me, when was the last time you saw this form? Very unusual. And I went through Rose Kerr's book on bronzes and all that to try to find an exact match to this. I couldn't do it. But a beautifully shaped late Ming bronze, nice archaic banding at the bottom, nice stepped out typical little platform above the foot, and deeply relief cast with the chameras pairing up over the sides. You often see the chameras done like this on the ends of incense burners, coming up over the sides or up along the opposing side, sort of creeping over the rim. And here you have it with two of them coming up over the mouth of the jar, almost sort of like they look as though they're sort of cheering each other on for having made it to the top of the rim. But the bronze, the patina is very nice. I think it's probably been oiled once or twice, which won't hurt it. I personally would take it off. I like the dry surface, but sometimes in Europe, there's some European collectors insist on oiling their bronzes. There was a bronze dealer in London, Goodwees, who used to put a little oil on them, bring the color up. And I understand it doesn't hurt them at all. It's perfectly fine to do if you want to. But I would let these go more natural, softer, drier surface to give the patina more life. But at any rate, that's just me. But beautifully done. And they've got a sort of a strong estimate, but there's a reason why. These are rare. 3,000 to 6,000 euros for them. Here's a nice shot of the end to give you an idea how big the chimera is. It's not just a little chimera or dragon going up over the side. It's a nice big one, fully articulated up over the side and really set into the casting. I love that thing. And it's decent size. It's just a bit around 9 inches tall. So it's not a little, like a 3-inch cup or something. It's good size, nice looking. And then over here to this nice early 19th century wooden carving of Kangxi Yen Yen. But the patina of the wood is quite good, and the details are very fine. And what I liked about this was that the horsehair whisk here that they depict her with isn't broken, which is a miracle for one of these, because I've seen these before, and it almost seems like 8 times out of 10, 9 times out of 10, the horsehair whisk has been busted. This one's in good shape, and I don't see a lot of chipping along the edges of the robe. Whenever you see these wooden Kangxi Yen figures, always check these edges for chipping. There's a slight separation, crack line in the body, because these are carved with the grain that runs vertically, and as they dry out, sometimes they develop little cracks. Little hint: if you have these or ivories that tend to crack, keep some of them in your bathroom during the winter, especially if you're in an area with central heating, so it won't crack them too much. And the cracks will eventually close with enough humidity. It's sort of an interesting phenomenon, but you don't want them to do it because it causes wear on the piece. But that's a nice looking thing. That's why you often see wooden carvings and ivories in moisture controlled cabinets rather than just sitting out on tables. But this is a good example. It's 6 inches tall, very finely carved with a 500 to 1,000 euro estimate. If you're a wood carving buyer, that's not bad. And then this is not an antique. But it is amazing. I think this is a good size thing. It's about 18 inches tall. Kong, and it's dated 2002 by the artist. But what I like the fact that Rob had the nerve to put this in the sale, because it makes sense. This is contemporary Chinese porcelain decorating, but done in the classical style decorating, but not attempting to fool anybody. This is just showing you the level that some of these great decorators in Jingdezhen and in China can do today on modern porcelain, because they're always saying, well, there's nothing good that, they don't make anything good that's really, they make some great stuff over there. And this is a very nice sort of contemporized revival look at old porcelains, but done with a more modern feel to it. The way the faces are depicted, in particular, the way the robes are done and all this, very typical of 20th century artwork. The way the flowers are depicted, they're sort of puffy, sort of enriched, filled, lots of life in them. Nicely shaded, though. The shading of this, whoever the artist is that did this, I don't know who he is, really knew his stuff. If you look at the three-dimensional feeling of the rocks at the bottom in particular, and the three-dimensionality of the figures against the vines and the trees and the building is really quite excellent. And this is a big pot. As I said, it's 18 inches tall. It's got a 3,000 to 6,000 euro estimate, and it was decorated by Zhang Zongmao. And I have to confess, I don't know who he is, except that he can paint a hell of a lot better than I can. And I think this is a nice thing. And if you're a collector and you're collecting Famille Rose and you want to get yourself a top-notch piece of contemporary Famille Rose that's not just some cranked out copy of an older thing, this is a good example. Okay, and now over here to this, the large. This is big for Canton enamel, 18th century, Yongchen to Qianlong period. It's a big piece, though. It's about 15 inches in diameter. It's a punch bowl, beautifully decorated, nicely done figures. The scholars reading the scrolls. This is a scene that is repeated often on Chinese porcelain, but here it is in Canton enamel. And as you know, Canton enamels from this period are rarely in great shape. This one is in quite good condition. It has a few of the typical more little star cracks on the enamels that you see on these, because it is painted onto a copper bowl. And if there's any pressure placed on these bowls, just dropping an apple into one of these hard can crack the enamels. If it just bends the copper slightly, it causes the enamel to crack. But this one looks pretty good. They say there are some minor areas of typical cracking. I looked at them. They didn't bother me in the least, but a very, very nice example. And here's a picture of the bottom with an old Qianlong sticker on it. You can see some of the lines. These are the little cracks I'm talking about that form in the enamel on the copper when they get bumped or something heavy happens to them. And there we go. And here's more of it, detailed shot around the inside. All of it pretty typical. But the estimate on this I think is extremely reasonable for a big piece of enamelware like this, with this beautiful classical Chinese taste scene. $1,500 to $2,500, because as you know, most of these enamel pieces were not made for the Chinese market. These were made for export. This is technically an export example, but when they did export pieces in purely Chinese taste with no Western influences, I always find them a bit more interesting. But that's a nice example, probably early Qianlong, but it could be a little older too. Nice piece. And then over here to the Bengkrong bowl. I put this in because just last week we had one that was over on eBay and it brought $1,000, and there was one the week before that that brought 300 or 400. So this one here is estimated at 300 to 600 euros. Very typical example. It's about 7 or so inches, 7.5 inches in diameter, but a fine one. Not a lot of wear to it that you often see on these. A few minor losses here from the enamels. I suspect that happened when it was fired, not during use. Because the inside of the bowl is in remarkable condition. Tiny bits of wear on the iron red around the rim, red enamel around the rim. But we'll get to the middle of this and take a look at this. The interior has almost no wear. Almost no wear at all. And that's unusual for Bengkrong bowls because they were used in the culture a great deal. And the enamels were particularly prone to wearing. All there is that one little, it's like a little firing misflaw here. But the rest of it is great, and they're very folky the way they paint them. They're not too fussy. They're not real tight. They're sort of painterly done, very festive, absolutely charming. And the estimate on this is 300 to 600 euros, so it's right in the zone. And don't expect it to buy it for 300 euros though. But as I say, always leave a bid. Leave a bid. Go to Rob's site, register, get some information. And if I were looking to buy things these days, I would go to this auction. I would register, put my card on it, and just go through it from A to Z and leave bids. That's all. Just leave, even if they're low bids. Just leave a bid. If you get, if you think about the price, you'd be delighted to get something. Leave that bid, and you never know. Sometimes you surprise yourself. So go in here and leave yourself 1,000 bids. See what happens. All right. And if you get them all, well, you're gonna have to pay up, but you'll have a great inventory for next to nothing. All right, and then over here to this, the Zhon brush pot. Nice little Zhon brush pot. This thing is about 5 inches tall, but beautifully carved. That low relief carving, nice details all the way around. And as you know, Zhon is among the most popular of all the wood, certainly the most expensive used in Chinese art and Chinese furniture, especially scholars' objects. Very desirable type. And this is a good one. And I did do a little looking on these because I love these old carvings, and I found a number of them over at Christie's and Sotheby's, and they all seem to sell very strongly in this palette of carving, this low relief carving. It's estimated at 15 to 25,000 euros. So it's got an opening bid at 1,200 euros, but that's not unusual for these. This is Zhon in its 17th to early 18th century, probably Kangxi period, and Zhon really makes it a rare bird. So don't be. I've seen some of these sell for 40, 50, 60,000 US. So we'll see how that does, but that's a nice example, certainly. And then over to this. This was a pair of big Kangxi Famille Verte jars that had been here before. They're over 24 inches tall, and I forget what happened. Something happened in the last sale. They didn't end up not being sold, and I don't know why, because I thought they were wonderful, and I don't think the estimate was at all unreasonable. But in a pair, no less. And big pairs are highly desirable, and these court scenes and so forth are absolutely great. And I love things like this over here, this decoration with the big urn with coral and peacock feathers coming out of it. Just, it's all symbols of a luxurious life. 20 to 40,000 euros. I don't think that's at all crazy, and I hope somebody buys them this time and pays their bill. Yeah, they're over 24 inches. They're 64 centimeters, so they're closer to 25 and a half inches tall. Beautiful pair. And then popping over here, the other thing are these Longalize beaker vases. These are particularly nice. There's only minor bits of fritting around the edges, like here. But the decoration, again, as we looked at that with Yen Yen vase at the beginning, the decorations on these are nicely done too. Very tight, good outlining, very neat filling in of the colors. Little bits of the typical, the little bit of fritting around the top and bottom that, seem to be sort of standard with most Kangxi pieces in one way or another, except for some of the enamel wares, but the blue and white often in particular. And then around the base, but that's not a bad thing at all. The estimate is 12 to 18,000 euros. I think that's it's certainly in the strike zone. If you can buy these for, 12 to 15,000, especially, it's a particularly great buy. The opening bid is 10,000 euros. I don't know what Rob's reserves are, but judging by his previous auctions, his reserves are pretty reasonable. He doesn't take things in just to have them not sell. And then you have this foot wide. Famille Verte Province's dish, or French dish, with let's see, the dish with the arms of Namur. There we go, and nicely done example with a good crest in the middle, gilded, of course, with the lion rampant, with the stripe through it and so forth. And you'll have to get out your book to learn more about the family if you buy them. That the coat of arms was for 3,000 to 6,000 euros, but it's armorial and it's good size, and this might be from a very rare set, so you want to check that out. And then on to the Japanese goodies. This I've had so far, I think 3 or 4 inquiries about this big piece of Meiji period mixed metalwork. It's a big plate. This thing is 53 centimeters in diameter, which means it's nearly 20 inches wide, but just about 20 inches wide. But the quality of work on this is among the best of the best of Meiji period workshops. Early on, somebody messaged me about it through the inquiry thing, wanted to know what I thought of it, and I'd looked at it and hadn't spent a lot of time on it, but thought I just had a mental note that it's a great one, and it is a great one. The quality of the work, the details, the way they were able to shade the flowers, and then this tiny stipple work all over the ground. All this groundwork is all done absolutely great. And the back of the plate is signed by the art Mi Yao. Let's see, there it is. There's his maker's mark on the back. Very fine workmanship. If you look at the quality of the foot rim, the quality of the shape of the back, all that good stuff, it's a heck of a thing. And I think the estimate in euros is dirt cheap. And it's already got 2 bids. It's up to 2,400 euros, but I wouldn't be surprised to see this bring, 5, 6, 7,000 euros. It is a great example. It would look absolutely elegant on a wall. Enjoy it. Just make sure you have the right hangers so you don't scratch the bronze. But beautiful, beautiful plate. Absolutely great. Absolutely great. I've had 4 inquiries about it. One guy emailed me twice about it. So we'll see how it does. And then over here to this really nice transitional period Qianlong and Qianlong and Phoenix vase. Here's the Qianlong on this side, and there's the Phoenix ascending above the balustrade, and he's growling up at it and so forth. This is a nice one. And as we saw last week, there was the one with the Kira Fu line that had that very cool expression that did very, very well. This is another one I like. I love these transitional vases that have animals on them. And this is not one of this form was made in transitional pieces. Some very, very small ones. Many of you have seen them. They can be 8, 9 inches tall, and they can make them much, much bigger. This is one of the bigger ones. This is good size. This thing is 43 centimeters tall. So it's just a hair under 18 inches, about 16, 17 inches in height. It's estimated at 6 to 12,000 euros, which is right in the ballpark. It may bring more, as we saw. I think the other one we saw a week or so ago that was at either Bonhams or something. It brought 18,000 US, something like that. So their estimate is very reasonable on this. That's my point. But get a condition report just to make sure that you're on the right track. All right, and leave a bid. I wasn't joking before. I said go through the sale and register and leave bids. Leave bids and be ready to buy, just in case you hit them all. But that's the way to do it. Just leave bids with everything. It reminded me, the leave a bid thing reminds me when I ran live auctions for years. We would have these dealers that would come in from New York and other places, and they would leave pages of left bids, pages and pages of left bids. And none of them were particularly high bids. They just left them because they thought, well, if I get it at that price, it's a bargain. And they were going to be around for the sale. They're going up to Maine to visit people during the summer. They're going to come back down afterwards. And on occasion, we'd have a guy that would leave pages of bids, and he'd end up getting a page or two of objects at really great prices, especially if it was a big auction with a huge amount of content. And they would hit it, an 800,000 lot auction, and they would hit for some good pieces. And on average, they did very, very well with it. So as a dealer especially, that's how you buy. You don't focus in on just one thing unless you have a client. You leave broad bases of bids. And even if they seem silly and low, Leave them anyway, just to see. All right, you never know. Anyway, $4,800 for this nice big Kangxi jar with cover. It's a pretty example. I like the ground pattern on here with the little flowers within the triangles, and I mean within the diamond-shaped cartouches. Then you have these nice open work area, leaf forms, circles, fans, and so forth. Beautifully done, and I like the lotus finial. I always like lotus finial handles. Lotus finials and foulline handles I like in particular. And this one is 56 centimeters in height, so it's just a shade under 24 inches, about 22 inches in height. Reasonable estimate. And then over here to this, if you're a Wanli and Ming buyer, I'm just putting in this, and these are not horribly rare, except that they're very nice, and I happen to like this form a lot with these porcelain bridge handles. Kangxi period, they tended to do them a little more squared off, though they did do some with square handles in Blanc de Chine. That are unbelievably rare. But this is a nice one and has that sort of pencil decoration that they started to do in the Ming Dynasty especially, and then they did some of it in the Kangxi period. But this sort of quick single line decorating with minimal amounts of shading, just drawing lots of little lines is nice. And it has a later silver spout that was added, and that little hole right here, right there, that little hole makes me think this thing, that spout was probably hinged and had a little flap that went over it to close it to keep dust and soot from things from going in there, and that's been lost somehow. But at any rate, it's nice. Sometimes you'll see these teapots, by the way, where the whole neck has been busted off, and it'll be rebuilt out of silver from down here all the way back up again because people love them so much. All right, and this is a nice authentic Wanli type. It's got a very modest estimate, 1,500 to 2,500 euros. And then the last thing we're going to look at is the jade, because there is a fair bit of jade. I didn't go through everything. There's also a lot of good little bronzes on here. There's some good Japanese porcelain, some Qiqi Yen, and there's some nice jade. And this is just an example, a nice late Ming jade double-handle offering cup with these very attractive rebuses running around the outside. Nice carving, and this is that very, very sweet greenish white jade that they used. The handles are quite nicely done. The way they shape the handles on these always remind me of pig jades, the very early jades, and I think there's some influence there. But at any rate, nicely done on both sides. Good looking cup. It's about 3 or 4 inches in diameter, as I recall. 10 centimeters, so it's about 4 inches in width, 3 inches in roughly 4 inches in width. So they're not terribly big, but very, very nice. All right, so check out the sale. We'll put a link to it at the bottom of this video, down in the little area down below. We'll put a link to Rob's sale, and it's rm-auctions.com. Go over and check it out. A lot of material to go through, almost 1,000 lots. I obviously wasn't going to be able to do it all here, but go check it all out. His images are good, and so forth. Open an account with him, and that's about it. If you enjoy the videos, leave a comment. Give us a thumbs up if you like them, and come over to Bidamount.com and poke around. Use the reference section. Sign up for the newsletter. That's free. And subscribe to us here on YouTube. We'll be back later this week with another video. And thanks so much for watching. I'm glad we got this done. We've been really busy lately, and around here trying to get one thing or another squared away. And I wanted to do this last week. Okay, thanks a lot, and have a great week, and we'll see you Friday with our regular video. If we get something else to do in the middle, we will. And thanks so much. Bye-bye.